Hello, and welcome to Who Am I Kidding? I'm Really a Failure. Oh, now I know how George Washington felt when he surrendered Fort Necessity to the French in 1754. A perfectly cromulent Simpsons podcast. Sorry, I made myself laugh with that one. I'm sorry.
We're getting the lengthy ones out
I
there
know.
recently. I like it.
We're cutting deep, right?
They're like Fall Out Boy song titles.
I know. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Kristen, with my co-host, Jesse.
Yeah, hoi, hoi.
Hoi, hoi. And it's today, and you're here listening to this podcast. You know, I had this all worked out. I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, my brain just...
We're never ready.
fails
That's
me.
just it.
Yeah.
You know, like every time I think I'm ready, it's the same thing. No, I got you. We're two lifelong Simpsons fans sitting here talking about The Simpsons episode
Thank
by
you.
episode, enjoying ourselves, and hopefully you are enjoying it too.
That's the thing that I wanted to say, and it did not
Yes.
happen. But thank you.
You know, the serial chillers really got me just on repeating lines. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm there for it.
You're there for it, right? No, that's good. I'm starting to get some of it. I'm learning. How are you today, Jesse? Are you having a good day?
I am. Surprisingly pretty good day.
So before we dive into the episode totally, I wanted to... Well, first, I'll tell everybody that we are... today we are talking about the 20th episode of Season 3. It's the 55th episode overall, called Colonel Homer. Before we get into it any further, I'm just wondering, like, before you rewatched it, right? Like, because who knows how often you watch it. Before you rewatched it, what were your impressions? Like, what kind of was the things that stuck with you, or what were you feeling about the episode before you dove in?
I didn't really remember this episode very much. That was what I dove in, and I was like, wow, I knew I knew exactly what the episode was about, what takes place. I know Lurleen Lumpkin, like that's all there in the lexicon, but I put the episode on, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't remember this like scene where they're watching this taut political thriller, you know? Oh, political.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Like, I
that stuff.
don't remember how it got there, you know? So it was, my opinion of it before we started was like, oh yeah, I remember this episode. And my opinion of it when I started it was, I don't fucking remember this episode.
So, like I said, this is the 20th episode of Season 3, episode number 55 overall. Its original air date was March 26, 1992. We are still airing on Thursdays during this one, like during this part of the season.
Prime time, baby.
Yes. Written by Matt Groening and directed by Mark Kirkland. Special guest, and this was always my favorite thing about this episode, Beverly D'Angelo.
Beverly. Some people might know her from things, but it's the vacation movies
she's
like,
in a bunch of things, but it's the vacation movies that did it. So
because I just really
go
today
ahead.
I was like, what else is she from? Like I couldn't like put one in my head, and I'm like scrolling, and there's like a couple like small character appearances, but that's like what she does. Or I shouldn't say a couple, I mean like 100.
There's
like,
lots.
You know, she's in like, I was like, wait, she's in Harold and Kumar too? What?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
you know,
yes.
So she's got a ton of those, but as far as like a nice like co-starring role, those vacation movies. And she's so beautiful now still because I googled it, and she's like, I mean, she's probably in her late 60s, and I was like, you're so beautiful, Beverly.
Yeah, she's just got, you know, I think she's just one of those, and she's not overly like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with plastic surgery or anything like that, but she still looks very natural compared to some other people that don't other Hollywood people.
100%. And we don't want to, make anybody feel bad, but some people be doing too much.
Yeah, it's like when your skin's stretched to the moon and back, that's probably too much. But she still looks beautiful. So the interesting thing about this episode, right after mentioning Beverly D'Angelo, is that this episode was partly based on A Coal Miner's Daughter from 1980, which tells the tale of country singer Loretta Lynn. And he always wanted to do a thing like that. There we go. I mean,
it's basically it. Like, I remember my grandpa really liked Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yeah, it's a thing, right? It's totally a thing. So I thought that was thought that was kind of interesting.
Really quick side note.
Yeah,
Did
go
you
ahead.
know Beverly D'Angelo was married to Al Pacino?
Yes, I did. They
I
have
did not
twin
know that.
sons. Yep, twin sons.
Wow.
Yes, because
That's crazy.
I'm smart like that. No, just because I like I said, I'm a bit of a fan of hers. I just think I don't know, she seems like someone I could hang out with.
Yeah.
Like it would be fun.
Beverly, come hang out with us.
Yeah, we totally want to hang out with you. Where was this? Sorry, I'm looking for a note I had written and now I can't find
We
it.
can
Don't you
never
hate
find
that?
it. Well, the thing is, the podcast audiences love dead air. So let's just let it go here for.
Just let the
I'm
dead
just
air. Oh, there
totally
we go.
joking.
There we go. Okay, so I found it. Uh, so so this was partly based on the movie A Coal Miner's Daughter. Beverly D'Angelo guest starred in the episode as Lurleen Lumpkin, which we know. Just so you know, she met Matt Groening at Frank Zappa's house.
Whoa, name dropper much?
Yeah, but she was they wanted her for this role because it was based on her performance as Patsy Cline in Coal Miner's Daughter that they thought of her for this episode. So there's a link. So there's a
Oh,
link like to all like
I
the
mean,
Coal
yeah,
Miner's Daughter. There's a like
it's
links
extra
happening.
linky.
Yes, yes. And just while we're on this part of the thing, Beverly D'Angelo actually wrote 2 songs for the episode, Your Wife Don't Understand You and Bagged Me a Homer. She wrote both songs within an hour and presented them to Groening at the table. like she was like at the reading table. She was like, here you go.
She's
And
bad as hell.
yeah, and apparently she spent more time than most guest stars do, like at the studio, where she throughout the whole recording of the episode, hung out hung out with the production team all day long, helped write several jokes, and was just I guess she was just super involved in the whole process of this episode, which is I think is kind of cool because I guess it kind of puts some extra of her in there. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like she just showed up and did what they asked her to do. She like showed up and got involved in the creative side, which
It
I think
only
is cool.
affirms what you initially thought of her.
Yeah, it does make her super cool. The only other thing is if anybody hasn't watched this episode recently and you're thinking, oh, I'll go back and watch it after they talk about it, or I kind of got it on while they're talking about it. Another interesting thing that happened with this one is, and you'll notice it when you see her, is that if when they drew her in regular Simpsons style, she looked too quote unquote bland and plain, and they wanted her to look more, pretty, like pretty girl, right?
Right,
So,
right.
so they actually drew her different and drew in a bunch of like every kind of
She's
pretty
got
girl
like the
cliche,
button nose and the big
big
eyes and
eyes
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the long hair and all that stuff, and they so they drew her differently than they normally draw anyone that goes on The Simpsons. So just as some background
Yeah,
information before
for
we
sure.
dive into the episode. The chalkboard gag was, I will not conduct my own fire drills. And the couch gag was the one where they get into the couch and their legs get folded in half behind their heads.
Perfect.
So I think in this season, more than other seasons, they actually reuse a couple of the couch gags a couple of times.
Like
And then
as everybody who watches the show knows, later the couch gags become like integral parts of
of the
episodes or
show.
mini episodes in themselves.
Yeah, they become a really big thing,
Yeah,
right?
right now they're kind of like on a 15 gag rotation, you know.
Yeah, exactly. In this on this day in history in 1992, March 26th, the number 1 song is "Save the Best for Last" by Vanessa Williams. Do you know that? I know
I'm
that
sure
song.
that I do. It's not immediately.
I'm not going to make people listen to me sing it, but I know it well because I remember hearing it 1,000 times. And "Stay" by Shakespeare's Sister. In the UK, it's "Stay" by Shakespeare's sister. You know, the one with the crazy video where there's like a good side and a bad side. And if you're young little me, the video terrifies you and you never want to see it again, but it keeps showing up on Much Music. Also, cosmonaut Sergey Kirk, Kirk, can't say his last name, so please, everyone hate me. But anyways, this cosmonaut guy returned from space, from the Mir station. First, he was on there for 313 days. When he left, it was the Soviet Union. When he came back, It was Russia.
Dang. Sam
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah. And the number one movie, Basic Instinct. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Basic Instinct.
Just when I thought a
That's it.
chance had passed, you go and save the best for. Okay,
Yeah. You know that. You know that song.
I just pulled up the lyrics and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
You can hear it in your head right away, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I know this song. So the episode starts with the family going to the movie theaters, and of course, the hardest part of going to a movie ever is finding a parking spot, and they basically struggle to find one. Homer does happen to find one. Their car is not a compact, as far as as far as I'm aware, but there is one spot available in front of the Springfield Googleplex, and it is for a compact.
But that's just a size suggestion.
It's just a suggestion, and Homer totally does the squeezing in there. He's scraping. I love this part because it's like both sides are fully like engaged in scraping.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
and he's
Are
just
we
like,
looking over there?
easy, you know. And there's Lisa points out there's a little bit of sparks on her side. Marge just looks worried. Bart looks shifty, like, but they get in there and everybody climbs out the windows because you can't go in. Then we get a nice shot of like one of my favorite things that happens on The Simpsons. You know, when they show us more information than we need to know. So we see we get to see screens was played on screens 22 to 28, which is I'll Fry Your Face 3, The Smell in the Room 19. Space Mutants 6, Honey, I Hit a School Bus, Look Who's Oinking, The Stockholm Affair, and Ernest versus the Pope.
My favorite is that's the second Ernest on a marquee joke of the season because Ernest Needs a Kidney is
also there.
But also Bart, even though it's called Ernest versus the Pope on the sign, Bart says that he wants to see Ernest Cuts the Cheese.
Yes. Good catch.
Yeah. So there's 3 Ernest jokes this season so far.
Yeah. So Bart wants to see Ernest Cuts the Cheese. Lisa,
if you're uncultured swine and haven't seen any Ernest movies, go forth.
Fix that.
Yeah. Ernest Scared Straight's my favorite.
Lisa wants to see Honey, I Hit a Bus. Of course, Homer wants to see Look Who's Oinking, and Marge basically says, since we'll never agree, kids go see one movie, parents go see another. Kids run off taking the majority, as they do in like almost every sitcom, right? Someone goes to hand somebody some money, a reasonable amount of money, and the other person reaches into the wallet or
take
whatever.
The rest of the pile.
The rest of it. Yeah. So Marge and Homer go to buy tickets to Look Who's Oinking, but instead they're going to see something a little more adult. which Homer takes it as a sexy movie, but it's not. It's the Stockholm Affair, which is a political thriller.
And maybe a little foreshadowing.
Right. I also noticed that in the background you can see the poster for Look Who's Oinking, and because they walked by a couple of.
Oh, it was probably so good. Poor Homer for not getting to see that.
Yeah, I know. And then so they show Homer and Marge in the movie theater, and Homer's doing all the things that a kind of disinterested person would do in a movie theater. They're playing with their cups, slurping too loud.
I felt the ice all too much.
Right. He's doing literally everything that's just annoying, and Marge is getting annoying. And he's talking about how the movie's too complicated, the floor is sticky, and just everything. And who's that? And Marge is just like, oh my God, if you shut up and pay attention. She doesn't say it like that.
That guy's a spy.
Yeah, she doesn't say it like that, but she might as well. If you shut up and pay attention, that's the look on her face, right?
Yeah. Duly.
And Homer's jumping at things like the octopus and calling the movie fake looking and stuff. And even people around Homer are getting annoyed.
See the springs.
Yeah. Then comes one of my favorite Simpsons lines of ever, because we go to Bart and Lisa watching their movie, and they're watching. What are they? They're watching Space Mutant 6.
Yeah.
That's it. I said the title a minute ago. And Lisa's got her eyes covered and she's really, really scared. And she's like, tell me when it's over. And Bart says, if you don't watch the violence, you'll never get desensitized to it. which is so great.
This is such a Bart Simpson line.
I think it's so poignant too, coming in the early 90s there, when so many people out there were so concerned with programming that kids were seeing and video games that kids were playing, that they're like, trying to ban games like Mortal Kombat and stuff,
And
right? Like,
music, we're looking at you, Tipper Gore.
right? Like just so much of that's going on right now. It is just like The Simpsons to pick up on it and be like, look it, they're talking about getting kids talking about how you got to get desensitized to these things. So
They
I love
know.
it. Yeah. And then, of course, Bart, being the great big brother he is like, oh, yeah, violence is over. And Lisa uncovers her face just in time. And we can't see the violence that's happening, but the whole theater turns bright red. Like there's
And it
blood
sounds like
everywhere.
someone was like bit in half or something.
Yeah. And Lisa screams and covers her eyes again.
As one does.
Yeah. And then we go back to the movie theater with Homer and Marge. And this is like what apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently this is one of the first times that like Marge publicly turns against Homer, where she stands, because she stands up and she gets mad at him because of all these behavior in the movie theater. And she's like, no one wants to hear what you think and stuff like that. And kind of stands up to him. And it really hurts his feelings because he's like, what do you mean nobody wants to hear what I think?
I think they want to hear what I think.
And anyway, so Homer's upset and he's hurt because his wife just kind of publicly said that no one was interested in what he had to think. So on the way home, he's not talking. He's just doing the angry person drive, right? Where you're ignoring everything in the car and you're just eyes forward driving.
Yep, been there.
And Marge is trying to soften the blow, being like, they threw stuff on me too. Kind of like I got hit by some of the stuff they threw at you, and it's not fixing it. Bart does a nice little like visual gag for us where he's talking about how like no use, mom. He's super angry. Here's the vein here, and he's marking it with X's.
This
and he
is
ends
one unhappy pappy.
Yeah, ends up drawing a frowny face on the back of Homer's head, using his hairline as angry, as unhappy teeth.
Love it. Love it.
Homer drops everybody off at home, saying that he usually carries himself with a certain amount of quiet dignity, and that tonight Marge destroyed that for him. And
I mean, he doesn't, but yeah, that's fine.
The sentiments, the ideas there. Like you don't expect someone that's like your friend or your partner or husband or wife or whatever to call you out like that, like quite that loudly, yell in front of the whole theater.
Sure.
Maybe a nudge like shut up, but you don't expect that. So Homer takes off and he's driving somewhere in Springfield. He's doing this. I'm going to say it again. He's doing the angry or upset drive. And who hasn't done that? Like, I'm just going to go for a drive. I'm going to the store. What store are you going to? Don't know. Going to a store.
And I'm leaving my fucking phone here.
Yeah. See you in a bit. I'm going. So on his way, he passed by a sign for Flaming Pete's. And it says, I think the first sign says 75 miles. Then we get down to 30 miles. And Homer's thinking, Flaming Pete sounds good. I'll go get me a steak, right? And then he drives past Flaming Pete's, which is now burnt to the ground.
So it's 75 miles is a long drive for a burnt down steakhouse.
Right. So he keeps driving out towards the country, away from the city. And he drives by a fertilizer plant, a county dump. I think the next one is a sulfur mine, and I know sulfur. So I didn't
just
live
rotten
near
eggs.
Yeah, I didn't live near a sulfur mine, but in the port by my house, they used to store sulfur there. So if you drove past there, it was overwhelming.
You'd smell it.
Yeah, it was overwhelming sometimes. So this whole time, Homer's trying to hold his breath. And then when he thinks he's kind of made it pass, nope, because he's going to drive by a whole bunch of open sewer for some reason. Just
for the next 40 miles.
Miles and miles of open sewer. So he keeps driving and he's like clearly heading way out of town. And he comes past a bar called the Beer and Brawl, which
good name.
was the whole vibe of it was based on the bar in the movie Urban Cowboy, starring John Travolta.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I was gonna say, why I'm probably not familiar with that, because it's John Travolta as a cowboy.
Yeah.
it does say Urban Cowboy though, so
yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen Urban Cowboy, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
I think I kind of looked it up after watching this, and I was kind of like, I feel like maybe I watched it or have seen parts of it on TV type of thing. You know, like if it was like on the Super Channel or
Yeah.
whatever, like
I feel
maybe
like so far
wrong
every
day.
photo I've seen makes me not want to see it ever in my life.
Mm,
Personally.
Basic,
That's just me personally. I don't even
basic.
like dislike John Travolta necessarily, but this does not look
Oh,
like it's for me.
it's okay. That's basically how I felt when I looked it up. You're
Plus
all
it's
right.
plus it's 132 minutes long. That was too many minutes.
So Homer decides that the Beer and Brawl is the place that he wants to be. I mean, I guess it's the first foodie, bar-y, like food or drink place he's
Right,
seen
right, right.
in at least 75 miles. Like, is 75 miles from town, probably at least the same since
I think it's got to be 100, at least 115, because he passes
yeah,
40 miles of open sewers too, unless the beer and brawl is
exactly.
somewhere along those 40 miles.
Mouse, yes. He goes in, and of course, people are drinking beer and they are fighting, as is the names. There's a sign on the wall that says no biting, because I guess biting is a problem in that bar. Uh, Everybody's dressed how you think they're dressed, okay? I don't even know how to, they're all dressed like hillbillies and like country
Mm.
bumpkins or however
Hicks.
you want to
Hicks
put
is
it, like
another good
hicks.
term.
Yes. Homer walks up and orders a Duff. Of course, they do not sell Duff. They sell Fud.
There's also a FUD sign that says FUD on tap. FUD me.
Fud. Yeah, Fud on tap. So Homer decides he can drink a Fud. That's fine. Um, and hey, this isn't just like any old country bar. They've got a live band and singers and stuff. And a guy gets up
Yahoo!
uh, and he's gonna yodel. He starts yodeling. His yodeling lasts all of like 3 seconds before someone hits him with a chair. The band keeps playing music while the guy gets pulled off the stage. And this is when we first get to see Lurleen. Um, so the MC for the night goes up to the stage, announces the drink service will stop for a few minutes. well, well, Lurleen Lumpkin takes the stage and sings a song. I also too love that people start hurling stuff at him, like this is
Yeah,
bullshit. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and one of the
You
things
can't
that gets
stop our
thrown,
drink service.
yeah, and one of the things that gets thrown is a pig. And
Yeah.
I actually love that it's like that pig looks almost exactly like the pig in the movie. Like they kept that style of pig. Like they
Dang.
didn't really
Spider
evolve it.
Pig. Harry Plopper.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying, right? Like I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
love
yeah,
that
yeah.
the style's still there. Especially since sometimes when you do and like movie like, TV shows of any sort go to a movie, it's like sometimes they change the style a lot, and you're like, but The Simpsons stayed true to their TV
Love
roots,
it.
and I appreciated it. Um, so Homer's sitting there grumbling about stupid Marge and stuff like that. And he's just upset still, right? And Lurleen comes up and she looks a little cuter than all the rest of the Simpsons characters, right? She got the eyes and the hair, and she's got Beverly D'Angelo's sweet sounding countrified voice. She's got that bit of a thing.
No, your wife don't understand you, but I do. I said no one understands you, but I do.
There we go. So she comes up and she sings that, and of course, the whole like she keeps saying things in the song that Homer identifies right. You work all day. It was a very
Mhm.
long day. Nobody appreciates you at home.
Except for the
Basically,
truck thing.
yeah, yeah. And everything she puts out there, he agrees with. Like nobody appreciates you, and your wife won't give you a break and all that stuff. Um, and I do love that she's like, that's why you lost your hair and that's why you're overweight. And he's just like,
Right.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
totally he's
Mhm,
on board
mhm.
for it.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah, and that is one of the songs that Beverly D'Angelo wrote, which is really
It's
quite
lovely.
neat. I think and the fact that she banged it out in like an hour, like less than an hour, and it's very clever. The whole song is very, very clever.
It's true.
And it totally would speak 100% to an angry husband or angry partner or anybody, right? Like, because angry wife could sit there thinking the same thing pretty much, right? And just be like, yeah, that bastard.
Yeah, it's basically the voice of an angel, so who am I to disagree? That no one understands you.
um, so, yeah, so Homer's just really like he's taken with the message of the song and everything. Like it's fitting perfectly into his day and how he feels. Everybody else in the bar seems pretty unenthused or doesn't really give a shit. They just
there
don't
is
care.
there is like a certain naivete that Homer carries throughout this entire episode.
And I
And
think, like seriously, it's like kind of the sweetest thing too. Like the whole, like his whole thing throughout the show, because he's just like, he thinks she's brilliant and he wants to, like, so sorry, I should say. So like right after that happens, like a little bit later, she goes back to doing her job, and he goes and tells her, like, he has to rush to tell her, like, your song touched me and you have a beautiful gift, and I want to help bring your gift to everyone, and um and he is very naive about that, isn't he?
yeah,
Like
again, like I have like such a hard time with the episodes where Marge and Homer, are
at odds or
or they're
whatever,
like,
right?
there's infidelity afoot. But like, look, there's some kissing that goes on, which, like, I'm like, okay, come on. But then at the same time, I'm like, man, he just wanted to help her become a country music star. Lurleen messed this up.
Well, and I think too, like this time when I watched it, I was like really watching it, and I'm like, the other thing she says a couple of times, I think, during the show is like, nobody's ever given a shit about me. So it's like, also, this really sweet guy has just walked into her life.
She's got daddy issues. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think, right? Or at least like something like that, right? Where she's just nobody's
she's been
ever
left
shown
high
her.
and dry.
Yeah, no one's ever shown her any kindness, so she's blown away by it, and then on her selfish part doesn't want to let go of it, right? She's just like, no. Anyways, so
you got
Homer
to know
stays.
when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em.
So Homer and Lurleen talk into the morning in the bar, like where the suns come up. They show us outside. The suns come up, and he tells her that she has and it's still so innocent, this scene where he stays just talking to her because he was blown away by her song, and she's like, my name's Lurleen Lumpkin, which maybe isn't the prettiest sounding name, and he's like, that's a great name, and she's like, real, and she's like, really, and right away Homer J. Simpson, as she calls him, has caught her interest a little bit, right? But I don't think she really believes that he'll be coming back. Like, I think at that point she's still kind of like, well, that was nice for the evening. I felt appreciated,
Yeah, I love that when she asks if he really thinks his name is beautiful, he goes, I don't know, I forgot it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then Homer promptly goes home and wakes up Marge and is like, let's do some loving. Like, he's in the mood to reconcile with Marge. He's happy now. Like, and their whole, and you know what? Some people are like, oh, well, he went out flirting. He didn't go out flirting, though. He just went out and listened to a song.
He went out scouting a country music artist.
Yeah, told the artist that he liked her and liked her music, and then was boogied on out of there. Homer I'm going to assume that Homer and Marge have a nice little morning nookie for her. But then we see Homer working the night shift. I don't know, how often does Homer work the night shift at the nuclear power plant? Because
when it's convenient for a joke.
Because he's definitely working the night shift this time, and he's singing the song while turning power on and like switch. Well, you don't know he's turning power on and off at first. You just see him flicking some big levers up and down, right. And he's singing along. And then we cut to places like the Quickie Mart where the power's coming on and off, and like down the main street, and like the whole town power's going on, off, on, off. Even in the hospital where a doctor accidentally removes a gallbladder and is promptly told, put it back.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that was Julie Kavner, Marge, the woman who does Marge. I think she voiced that nurse.
Okay.
It might not be. There's no credit that I saw, but it sounds a lot like
sounds
the
a lot
raspy.
like her.
Yeah.
After work or the next day or whatever, Homer's out with the boys at Barney's Bolorama, and he's singing to his ball, and Lenny points out, like, he's singing to his ball, and
but he's bowling a 280.
Yeah, Carl points out what a great game he's had. I mean, so Lenny, of course, is like, Lenny decides he should sing to his ball too. Only the song he chooses, there's a kind of hush, there's a kind of hush all over the world tonight.
I'm not familiar with the song.
Are you not?
No, he sang it, and I was like, that's sweet. I don't know that song, but it's a good song, Lenny.
There's a sound of people falling in love. It's very...
I'm sure if it hits the hook, I'll be like, oh, yeah.
if you heard the music for it too, you'd probably be like, this is familiar. Like, you might not be able to pick up where it's from, but you would be like, familiar.
This sounds really silly, but like, I didn't grow up a music person. Like, I didn't have music parents, and I didn't really have like that music friend. So like when I was like
music was just thrown in your face type of thing, right?
Yeah, when I was like 17 or 18, I started playing music. So I really kind of glommed on to like that genre. And the things that I've learned since then. And that's a long time, trust me. But like when you go your first 17 years, I didn't have parents like listen to classic rock. Like, these are the Beatles and this is the Eagles and this is
I was just saying, this is the Eagles. And,
yeah. None of that. My mom was like, this is Journey, and then we're gonna watch country music television. So I sang the shit out of Wheel in the Sky.
There you go. Wheel in the sky, keep on turning.
Yep. It does.
So Lenny tries singing to his. This song is just really, basically, it's just showing that this song is super stuck in Homer's head, and I guess wanting to keep the feeling going when Homer gets to Moe's, he doesn't just order a duff like normal. He tries to order a Fud. Of course, Moe's like, I think they took that off the market for making some hillbillies blind.
Yeah.
I was reading an interesting fact where in another episode they refer to hillbillies being blind, but they don't name the alcohol. But there is another episode where Bud shows up. Like,
that's like a classic moonshine joke. Like, there would be a guy who drank the moonshine and if he doesn't go blind, then it's okay to drink, Yeah. Or like, this moonshine's so strong it's gonna make you go blind.
And of course, like the whole thing they're trying to create is like, this is not like a regular people's beer. This is hillbilly beer. This
exactly.
is
they also beer. To go back really quickly, one of the signs in the Beer and Brawl was for Laramie's High Tar.
High tar,
like high tar cigarettes.
Yeah. So Homer says he's had that beer at a bar, and of course Moore was actually very upset. And
Whoa, Homer.
Like Homer had cheated on Moe.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was 100. He had, yes. He's like, but I was 100 miles out of town, So then Homer jumps in his car and takes off because he's got bigger fish to fry the next day. And of course we get so Homer leaves town again, and we're now entering Spittle County. And of course, because we are heading into that type of place, the first thing we encounter is a guy on a porch with the banjo. So even if you don't know that banjo hook is from Deliverance,
and the kid is made to look like the
guy
weird,
from Deliverance.
Yeah.
Like, have that vibe. Like, even if you don't know that though, that banjo sound is so synonymous with
the like beginning of Dueling Banjos. You guys are everybody has heard, and when it's played slow and creepy, it's from Deliverance.
Yeah. And it's like, everybody knows now. It's just so part of the lexicon that you don't have to have ever seen Deliverance, but you know instinctively that you're going into like a backwoods country, out of town. Maybe you don't want to be there place. Like, that's just
my favorite part about that song is like right after that beginning, it basically goes into like Yankee Doodle.
Yeah,
it is a very non-threatening song, but for whatever reason, that opening riff now will instill fear in anybody walking through the forest. I truly one time want to just go sit with a banjo, learn that riff, and just go sit out in the middle of the forest.
Go sit like where people go hiking.
Yeah, near a hiking trail, and just hit it with
right. So Homer pulls up to the Royal King Trailer Park. I do love that trailer parks often have names like that, like Royal King, Paradise Hills.
Well, it's got to be fancy.
Happy Trails, Fantasy Park. Anyways, 14 days without a tornado, just so you know.
Yeah, I love that. It's just like so close to Springfield, who has dealt with very few tornadoes. Yeah. And this place gets hit like every other week.
Apparently, right? Homer finds Lurleen and walks up to her very pink trailer.
It is adorable.
Wheel. It's a fifth wheel, right? It's like a full-on trailer. It's not like a mobile home. It's like a full-on trailer. She got some cactuses outside of it and stuff like that. Like, she's living the life. She answers the door and like I didn't mention this, but like, they gave her a very womanly shape. Like her waist is accentuated.
They like made her. They made her butt very. Also, like they do the like
round,
W shape.
Hourglass.
Yeah.
Yes. She's very hourglass. So and she's got her like the same outfit she had on the night before, which is like her uniform, because everybody in Springfield gets like a uniform. That's them.
Yep.
Where it's like it's a country style shirt, and she's got her cowboy boots on, and she matches. And anyway, so Homer, she's surprised to see Homer, and she's like, well, Homer J. Simpson, because she always uses his full name, and she's like, what are you doing here? And he basically says, like, I can't get your song out of my head. I haven't felt this way since since the song Funky Town, bud. Yep. And she just thinks that's really sweet that he would come all the way out there and that it's so important to him. And he wants a copy of her song. She says, no, I'm sorry. I don't have them written down. They're all up in my head, because she just performs them on stage, right? So why would she do that? So she starts naming off all some of the songs that she's written, like I'm based in a turkey with my tears. Don't look up my dress unless you mean it. I'm sick of your lying lips and false teeth.
So Lurleen's been through some shit.
Yeah. Homer decides that he has to, and like I feel like it's such a Homer, and I find that Homer does this often, right? Where he kind of talks in terms that sound like you could be talking about food, like he's like, we got to scoop those songs out of your head, which automatically I'm like, he's referring to like scooping ice cream out of a bucket. You just know he is, and he talks like that a lot, right? Like where he uses
Homerisms
that could describe actions with food. Anyways, they go to Lucky's Records, where you can get your voice on a compact disc for 25 cents, which is fucking steal. And it's a booth. And I don't know if you ever had these around where you were, but in the mall,
I was just gonna say we had one of these in the mall. That for sure you could get your voice on a CD over like a karaoke track.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And there was another place that did, not a place, like another booth that did videos.
Yes.
So like you stood in front of the camera and did a music video in front of a green screen.
Yes.
But a green screen was basically magic at that point.
It's true. And it was not perfect, but usually good enough to really make you happy.
It was as good as TikTok filters, you know?
Yep. So they before you see that it's a booth, though, they show a lineup of a bunch of aspiring artists. There's a guy with a violin, I think a girl with a harmonica, a person with an accordion, and the guy that was playing the banjo on the porch when Homer went to go find Lurleen.
I didn't notice that.
Yes. So Lurleen proceeds to record No One Understands You, But I Do. And they get their compact disc, and it's shiny. And right away, though, there's a guy, the store owner there lets them know that he has a brother that owns a radio station over in Weevilville. Sounds like a great place to live.
Yeah, I love that we're just getting like a whole bunch of new counties and stuff from this episode, you know?
I love it. And he says, with your permission, I'd love to take the CD to him and have him play it. And she turns to Homer, who's not officially her manager yet, but it was his quarter that paid for the recording.
That's what I love.
Right?
It's your quarter, Homer.
Yeah. And of course, Homer takes way too long to think about it, right? Like he says, like it's a really
was pretty fast for a Homer response.
True, but his response is also very non-committal, because he just says, "I guess so."
I don't think he really knew what was happening.
No. I do love this though. So then we get a shot. Like it's the same shot that they show from basically any radio station in Springfield, which is a little radio station with a big antenna on the top. Except this one says KUDD, which is Cud. Don't touch that dial. You got Cud on it.
Yeah, I love that.
Apparently, that is a reference to a real station whose name was Come.
So gross.
Yeah, totally gross. But yeah, so there you go. Like, so it's a bit of a play / joke on.
That is nasty.
Yeah. So anyway, I did have the city written down somewhere, but I can't find it. But yeah, so apparently there was one where they would make the same joke, except they would end up saying because they announce it as like, this is KUDD 750 AM radio. And then when they go to their tagline and it's like, don't touch that dial, it's got Cud on it. And I guess that radio station used to do something similar where they would normally spell out the letters, but when they did their tagline, it would sound like Come. Anyway,
yeah.
Moving on. They play the song, right?
Y'all are nasty.
They pop the CD in there, and everybody in town, apparently that day, everybody's listening to country music. Apparently that's the call of the day, is country music all over Springfield. The song makes Mo cry. I do love that it touches Mo in such a way that he says that for the next half hour, beers are on the house. Of course, there's nobody in there to hear it at the time.
An empty bar.
Yeah, and Barney just comes out of the bathroom and says, "What?" And he's like, "Nothing."
What'd you say, Mo?
Yeah. We cut to Krusty beating the living crap out of Sideshow Mel, because apparently Sideshow Mel tried to date his sister or something.
I told you to stay away from my sister.
Yeah. And Sideshow Mel's just kind of taking it. Krusty,
he knows he's done wrong.
Yeah. But upon hearing the song, Krusty gives Sideshow Mel $50 and says, "Here, take her to the Copa." I do love that Springfield always has these really classy joints in it too, or they're, you know what I mean? Like, for such a town that has a tire fire.
It's also like, that Krusty's from like the 50s too.
Oh,
so it's just like something old fashioned,
Yeah. We also cut to the Springfield State Penitentiary, where the song is playing during a prison riot. And I do we get to see Snake here again, who of course is in jail because he almost ran over Bart Simpson after robbing the Quickie Mart, right? That's why he's in jail.
Oh,
right now.
I didn't think of that.
I would assume that's why
You're
he's in jail
dead,
right
little
now.
dude.
Yeah. I would assume, because that was just a few episodes ago, right? So I would assume that he's serving his time right now.
Puts this whole riot into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, the song touches him as well, and he stops punching the cop in the face or the prison guard in the face. And everybody stops for a minute, right? And, there's hugs and tenderness. And then we cut to the Simpson household where the Simpsons are listening to it. And Bart looks very happy. Not Bart. Homer looks very happy. Lisa looks super happy. But of course, it's because it's music and her dad made music happen, which probably is very,
yeah, you know what? I honestly didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's probably...
That's why Lisa loved it so much.
Yeah, and it's probably very exciting for her because that's like knowing Lisa, she'd probably look at that. It's like, oh my God, my dad took an interest in music, which means he might take an interest in something I love. Like we have something we can connect with now, right? We both love music. So
damn sweet.
Yeah. Bart looks just unimpressed generally. Like he does not care. Apparently country music is not Bart's thing.
That's taking away from Shock Jock DJs.
Yeah, and Marge looks vaguely worried. Like, she doesn't look super worried at this point. Just kind of like...
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, something's just not sitting right with her. And of course, just to fill out the family, Maggie's staring at the cat. And knowing little babies, that means that cat's tail is going to get pulled at some point,
It's like they had to say, hey, Maggie's still here.
Yeah. Well, she kind of disappeared during they were at the Googleplex too, right?
Yeah. That's true.
That's actually pointed out as a gaffe. Also, just in case you were wondering, in the scene in the movie where the American flag is behind the guy on the screen, the field of blue and the stars are reversed, like the colors are wrong. So the stars
I didn't even
blue.
notice that.
Yeah,
America.
So anyways, Lisa thinks she's great. She says, I could feel her sweet country soul in every digitally encoded bit, because obviously it's not on a record, right? It's been burnt onto a CD. I do like that she's so specific about it, right?
Yeah, she's got to point out that she knows it's not actually physically recorded. It's a digitally encoded. Yeah.
Bart's just country music sucks. And like you said, it takes away from precious shock jock DJs, which are super popular at the time in the 90s, right? Like you get this is when you get when
Howard Stern has already done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're also, it's even
he's huge
the
at the
Simpsons.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Even the Simpsons, did it with when Bart wins Stampy, he wins. I can't remember what the DJs are named, but they're total shock jock DJs, Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a thing. And this is the rise of people like Rush Limbaugh and stuff like that too. When they stop being just regular DJs and become and regional DJs, and they become not just nationwide, but worldwide phenomenons during the 90s, right? It becomes such a thing. Anyways, Bart's unimpressed, right? He doesn't give a shit. And
he's a man who knows what he likes.
Yeah. Homer tells him to shut up. And he asks Marge what she thinks, and Marge wants to know more about her than the music. Marge is already kind of like,
Marge is worried from the onset.
yeah, and I love that he, his cocktail waitress just implies bad news, I think, in movies and TV shows.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like if you would have just said waitress, I think it almost is less damning than saying cocktail waitress. Does that make sense? Like, is there something about the
100%
vibe of it?
Yeah.
Right. So he's like, she's an out of work. Apparently, she's lost her job now too. She's an out of work cocktail waitress. And she's, and you know, and so she's gonna be the next big superstar, and bigger than that guy in the big that country jerk in the big hat, and that dead lady. You know, like, you can't even name some. Just that there's a guy in a big hat and a dead lady.
And he just knows that Lurleen's going to be bigger than
bigger than all of them. And this is when Marge first kind of stands up and says, I don't want you hanging out with some cocktail waitress. She just doesn't like that. And right away, Homer starts defending himself. Like, you make it seem like there's something wrong with it. Like, we were just, and like, of course, we got, like, from his point of view, he's actually done nothing wrong, and he's not thinking about doing anything wrong. Right. He's just trying to help her become a star, you know. So he just tells her what he did that day in his stupid, lovable, non-thinking Homer way.
Just watched her try on some outfits, right?
Yeah, we spent the afternoon in her trailer, watched her try on some outfits. Like, he honestly doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, and Marge is very unimpressed. And in fact, I like that it's like, if you're watching with the subtitles on, it will say she growls. It's not even like it's just growling. At that time, Lurleen calls, and Homer just starts talking to her, and she's like, you know, can we come over? Can we? Yeah, you think you should? Lurleen asks him to come over, and Homer is like, oh, we were just talking to you. Then, you know, let me ask my wife. The whole time, Marge is listening, and she's looking very unimpressed.
Yeah, it says angry groaning on my subtitles.
Oh, does
yeah.
On mine, on the Canada one, it just says growl. Like, at that first part, it just says growl. So Homer turns to Marge and says, "Can I come? Can I go?" And angry growling's the second one. Yeah, angry groaning. Angry groaning is the second one. Yeah. So the first one, when she's in the living room, it's a growl. Okay. This one is groan. So angry groaning. So she's mad. So I guess they're trying to show her ramping up of emotion. I guess that's why they go get more like intensity there, right? Yeah. Homer turns and asks her. She does not reply. She just grits her teeth and is all like Marge sounds. You know, I feel like you could just write Marge sounds. Yeah, don't you think you could just write Marge sounds?
Yeah. I mean, we would know. For certain.
Right. So since she says nothing, Homer turns around and says, it's a date. Oh, and the way he says, it's like, you know, people say that all the time. Like, sometimes when we, you know, set times for podcast time, it's like, okay, it's a date. We'll see you there. You know, like, you know, there's nothing.
I mean, it is literally a date.
Yeah. But, you know, if you're Marge right now and you hear him say that, you're like,
Marge is hurting.
No, you're like, you know, like, what is this? Right. Anyway, so we return to the Royal King Trailer Park, where it's now been 2 days. Only 2 days with a tornado.
I love that. This is reset. No mention of the tornado by either character, but yes, indeed. Yeah.
It's happened. So and we pull up to Lurleen waving Homer down, and before he even gets in there, she runs and gives him a big hug, and she's so happy because everybody's been calling Mama, Daddy, the triplets, Vonda May,
Piney Joe,
because they all heard it on the radio, right? So they're all calling her to introduce her. I mean, not introduce her. They're all calling to congratulate her on getting on the radio, and she's just really happy. And she's like, "I owe it all to you." She feels, and I noticed that in this part, this is the first time you really see that she might have a crush on Homer, because it's the first time she gives him. They draw her giving him like the googly eyes when she says, "And I owe it all to you." And that's the first time they give her that look, like, where it's like, oh no, she feeling something there, you know?
Yeah.
The other, I think,
Homer, you dog.
Yeah, pre this point, she thought he was sweet and cute or lovable or whatever. We'll say sweet and lovable. But I don't think she thought anything was going to come out of anything. And then him kind of turning her into a bit of a local celebrity.
That's helpful.
She feels a little extra special, you know. And Homer's just like, it's not him. is, you know, she didn't need to thank him. All he did really was pay 25 cents type of thing. And that it came from your brain. And I love that he says things so poetically like that. You should be
Yeah.
thanking your brain, you know.
For a very non-poetic man, that is quite a poetic statement.
Right. And this is when this is when Lurleen points out that this is the first time anyone's ever been really nice to her without expecting something in return. And when she says it, she totally implies sex, right? Like it's like
Right.
that's the only reason why people are nice to her. And this is the first time someone's ever just genuinely been nice to her because they wanted to be nice or they liked what she was doing or whatever. And I do like how they draw her. Like, just to get super technical on you, because we've been watching a lot of Simpsons lately. I do like how like kind of soft and vulnerable they draw her in those shots, because they make her very like, if you go look, she's kind of like they have her like kind of put her hands in front of herself and like look down, and she's just it's like,
yeah.
You can I think they're trying to show she's like damaged goods, right? Like they're
Sure.
trying to say like she's super vulnerable and she's damaged goods. It's a little different than some of like the bigger movements you're used to seeing on The Simpsons.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And they draw her super soft, which I think is interesting. But like, you know, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, they made her look different on purpose because they wanted her to have a
even
different
down
vibe.
to like the dots that make the pupil of her eyes, they're larger than any other characters.
Yep. And it's like, even if you look at her legs and her jeans, like, because she's wearing tight jeans, you can see her calf muscle. Like, there's nothing straight about her body. Her whole body is just very, very curvy and stuff. And she wants to give Homer something in return for being so sweet to her and so kind to her. And he said, I was going to ask for a glass of water.
Reasonable.
But I love this part though. But now he feels kind of guilty about it because nobody's ever given her something without wanting something back. So like right away, Homer's just like, oh, I can see like you're like, you know, you've never had anyone just give, you know. So and it was like, and it's so sweet that he actually catches on to that feeling so quickly, right? Because he's just a big old dumb,
Homer the
dog,
empath, huh?
You know. To which Lurleen's even taken more with him now, because she's just like, oh my god, what she calls him, a big sack of sugar, because she's just like, he didn't even like, you know, he doesn't even want to ask me for a glass of water now. Like, that's so sweet. Like, you know, obviously she's never had somebody just be genuinely kind to her, which is why part of the reason why she falls so in love with Homer, right? And then I do love that he like thanks her for the compliment of calling him a big bag of sugar. And he just has to check though, like, you did say sugar, right? Like you could have said sucker or something. And this is when Lurleen asks Homer to be her manager. She's like, I would really like you to be my manager.
Let's make it official.
Yeah, and of course he wants to. But I do love how before he formally accepts, he's like, I'm not good with figures like money.
I'm not good at everything. You need to be a manager.
I make a lot of stupid decisions. And she's just like, nobody's perfect. I did bad in school.
I didn't even go to school.
Yeah, my personal hygiene is questionable. And she's like, it's all good. The one thing that they need, though, he is missing one thing, and it's the right outfit. And they go to get him the perfect outfit from the
tailor.
Yeah, you know, copulent. I'm going to say it wrong, so I'm going to spell it to you. Corpulent.
Corpulent.
Thank you. That's it. Cowboy. That's the name of the store. And you can tell it's a store for larger lads. It's for husky men, you know, because all the mannequins are extra wide. All their bellies are extra low. And there's like a big cowboy on the top. Like he's shaped like a pear, fully shaped like a.
Yeah. If you look up corpulent,
yes.
The first definition is having an abundance or excess of flesh or fat. The second definition is very fat or obese.
There's nothing nice about. They try to make that sound fancy. Is basically
and even the third is solid, gross, opaque. So that is corpulent for you.
So then they go to that store, and Homer's trying on like a head to toe outfit type of thing made from space age fat. Like it's not like a jumper. It's a suit though.
He's a
Cowboy.
rhinestone cowboy
Yeah, like a cowboy suit. And it's made from a space age fabric designed for Elvis.
that actually cleans when he sweat.
Yes, yes. And that looks to suit Homer just fine. And he's got his big 10-gallon hat now and everything. He looks the part. And of course, like his whole Colonel Homer thing is a nod to Elvis Presley's manager, right? Like that's a direct Colonel Tom Parker. Like it's a direct reference to like the attire and everything. The title of the attire is a direct reference to Elvis.
Love it. Great outfit,
extra,
Homer.
Yeah, the extra thing. Meanwhile, so Homer stays out all day long. It's gone past midnight now. Marge is in bed and she hears footsteps approaching the door, and it's Homer walking in with like it is very rhinestone. This is the first time we see it in all its glory. It is very rhinestone cowboy. It's got tassels. It's got everything. Like he bursts through the door too at 10 after midnight and with the lights full blare behind him and enters the room with like, look at me, anyway. Marge is not impressed. She covers her head because it's so bright, right? And she's upset that he's been spending time with Lurleen, and just this isn't great. And she's not and she's not even gonna look at his glorious outfit that he's like dramatically entered the room with.
Right.
She just doesn't want to see anything.
Did Lurleen buy that for you? No, I think it was Lenny.
Yeah. Like so when she does finally look, she is upset, right? She is just she doesn't like the fact that Lurleen's buying him clothes or that he spends all the time with him. And she finally comes out and says, "Are you having an affair with this woman? Has she kissed you? Or have you kissed her? Has she kissed you?" And he says, "Yeah, a couple of times." But of course, he's not thinking that Marge is picturing like passionate kisses, because in his head it's just like,
the
oh
peck
yeah,
on the cheek or whatever,
like something your friend or your mom or your aunt might do to you,
right.
Like, or some people do upon greeting. Like it's nothing, but he's being very honest with her. She doesn't want him to see her anymore, and he's like, I can't. I'm her manager now, and this is the first time that he actually gets really mad at Marge during the episode. Not quietly mad, but actually mad. And he's like, and I do love that suddenly, because he says, "You're standing in the way of my boyhood dream of being a manager for a beautiful country singer." And but he's mad because he's feeling very passionate about this project.
Your boyhood dream was to eat the world's largest hoagie, and you did that last summer at the county fair.
Right. So, but Homer, I do love the picture though too, by the way, of the world's big of Homer eating the world. It looks like a postcard and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'd buy that postcard. But Homer informs Marge that him and Lurleen are going to do this, and they're going to he's going to make Lurleen a huge star. And technically speaking, if she was to become a huge star as her manager, he stands to earn quite a bit of money.
Right. Like $50 or something.
Yeah. So then we move on, and it's time to get Lurleen rolling. You can't just walk around with a 25-cent CD. You need something more. So they go to Hicksville, USA recording studio.
That's
where
right.
the studio has a lot of history. I think his buddy Holly stood there and said he would not record there because it's horrible. Oh, I know. Lurleen's not. I didn't notice this, or I didn't think about it. But during this part, Lurleen's not even with them. Homer takes Marge with him.
That's why you hire a manager. You don't have to deal with this shit.
Yeah. He takes Marge with him, and I guess in his eyes, nothing is going on. So he's like, "Why? Come with me. We'll go look at this music studio." And Homer is like, "Lurleen will love it here. This is perfect. It's what we're looking for," and pays the guy a stack of cash. It's a stack of cash. And right away, Marge is upset that maybe this is their life savings and that this is going to be very bad. But Homer is like, "Don't worry." And it's at this point where Lurleen shows up with her guitar and her she walks sexier than anybody in The Simpsons too. You get a good shot of it there for a couple seconds. She has a very sexy hippie walk. And, I think after reading some of the background information about the episode, I started really picking up on how different they did her for this, like, than
100%.
than anybody, which I find really interesting. They just kind of give her this whole different vibe, right? So Lurleen goes to introduce herself to Marge, and Marge points out, I'm Mrs. Homer Simpson. Like,
Mrs. Homer Simpson.
yeah, like, that's my name. And Lurleen's just like, charmed, like, I almost
Yeah.
waited for her to say, I'm sure type of thing, like the charmed, I'm sure. But she stopped at charmed. Um, uh, and this is when Marge points out that, like, I thought you said she was overweight. And she's
It takes
not.
2 people to lie, Marge. 1 to lie and 1 to listen.
Another really great quote from The Simpsons.
What does that mean?
I gotta go, Marge. Time is money.
So this is the other song that Beverly D'Angelo wrote for this show, which is "Bagged Me a Homer" that we're gonna hear now. Which is a nice. I think it's interesting that. I mean, I get that she wrote it, but I think it's interesting that in one season we get like some pretty strong baseball vibes from the whole season, because just a few episodes ago we had the baseball episode, and then now we get like a whole nother song. And I'm not gonna lie, so like I don't always remember everything about this episode, but when they start talking about slumps when I'm watching baseball, and I watch the Blue Jays, so talking about slumps happens a lot. When I do low-key hum parts of this song in my head when I watch them, like when I watch people
You want
that are
someone to
slumping.
bag them a homer?
Yeah. And I have sung it in my head in celebration. Like, yeah, they bagged them a homer. So if that doesn't show you what a nerd I am.
It's your Blue Jay version of the Red Sox Sweet Caroline.
Yes, exactly.
Or the Cubs. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs gonna win today.
So Lurleen and the band starts singing this song, and you don't know exactly what she's going to say at first, and everybody's looking pretty happy, and it is clearly a baseball theme, though, right? Because she talks about the bases were empty on the diamond of her heart when the coach called her up to the plate, and she's going along, and everyone's bopping. Marge just looks unimpressed. She doesn't look, she's not necessarily angry, but she looks unimpressed. And the song goes on to be talking about swinging and missing. I'm going to end up saying most of the songs are at loving and kissing. So it's like a build up. Like she hasn't actually said she's using baseball as a comparison to her love life, which is fine. You even get, I think the interesting thing on it is, you even get, even Lisa gets involved in the recording, and she records like a sax riff.
Yeah, a little saxophone.
Yeah, a little saxophone on the track. Of course, like Marge is just getting angrier and angrier listening to the song, and kind of reaches her whole boiling point when she says, I'm gonna hit a home run, and this time love's for real. And Marge has, and then I think this is good too. Because they pull back and they show Marge watching the recording, and at this time Homer's just standing there happy because he's doing business in his head and he's very happy about how it's going. And Lurleen's shooting him the eyes while singing like this time love is for real, and they make sure to frame that very nicely in the shot because you can see Marge just being like, oh my god, she's giving her the eye, like him the eyes, and she's very not happy.
And it is making Homer sweat, therefore his suit is getting
cleaner. This is the first time we see Bart get interested in a country song and asks if he can do a ham bone solo, to which he can't. And of course, we get to the big part of the song where Lurleen sings that she finally bagged her a homer, and says it twice. Like, that's right. I finally bagged me a homer. Says it twice.
Staring right into his soul.
Yeah, and this is when everyone has to stop because the technician can hear a grinding sound, and it's Marge grinding the crap out of her very angry looking face and teeth. And then we cut to spinning newspaper and park benches and stuff like that, all with Lurleen's name on it because she's suddenly really taken off in Springfield.
Yeah, even tells the old lady to get off the bench.
Yeah, because that's Lurleen's bench. You see Bart and Lisa and Maggie helping sign and do the kiss, like with the lipsticky kiss on the thing to make it look personal on all the records. And and everybody's involved except for Marge, right? Everyone's involved except
I also like
for
the
Marge.
headline when she finishes the recording. What's it like? Chicks licks. Was it?
Yes.
I wrote it down. Hold on, I
missed.
right here.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was.
Of course, it's not playing. I think it's chicks licks. Hicks dig chicks. Let's see. I'm just gonna wait.
Hicks digs chicks licks, right? Is that what it is?
Hicks in sticks love chicks
love
licks.
Chicks licks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tongue twist. That's a tongue twister.
Hicks in sticks love chicks licks.
There you go. So anyways, all this is going on, and you're just getting the impression that Lurleen is getting it's doing well. Everything's swinging right. We cut to Homer and Lurleen in her trailer, which actually looks a little bit nicer now than it did before. Like there's this, it's like it's been spruced up a tiny bit. It's got a bit of a nicer vibe. She's got fancy curtains and shit in there. Anyway, and Lurleen's just telling him nice things, and I do love that she says, "You're as smart as you are handsome." And at first he takes great offense to it, and then he's like, "Oh wait, you meant that as a compliment." Also, this is the first time that we see. This is like the first time we see her in not her like country barmaid clothes, but instead like a nice dress and like soft pink lipstick instead of the bright pink lipstick and stuff like that. She's looking like she's going out.
Also, did you notice there's a photograph in her bedroom? Did you notice
of Homer?
Yeah,
of Homer.
It's a giant,
it's
ornate framed photograph of Homer.
It's like it's like the most like obvious thing there. It's like, you know, and I think Homer's still just missing the whole fucking point. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's beyond him.
Yeah.
And this is when she tells Homer, "I've written a song for you. Come sit on the bed with me." Because I mean, to be fair, in a lot of these trailers, it's like you get a bed and maybe a table.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get both. Anyway,
your bed is probably the table.
Table, yes. So she starts playing. So Homer sits down and he just looks happy. Like he's just like, "Oh, you wrote another song," and he's jazzed for it. And she starts playing a very slow song where obviously something is very different. And the song's all about about her asking him to bunk with her tonight, and she would like him to stay there. And actually also goes so far to say, if only you weren't married and things like that. Like it's so, to most people, they would pick up on it very clearly. But Homer remains looking completely clueless.
He says like, "There isn't a man in the world who wouldn't get turned on by that. Well, goodbye."
Goodbye. And and she's and of course, like in this one, she is dressed kind of romantic, like for her style. She's dressed all romantically and very pretty. And I do love the big picture of him. And he's just like, "That's hot," and it doesn't really faze him. So he gets up to leave, and I do like too that she tries to explain to him that there's a hidden meaning in the song. There's nothing hidden in that song.
No,
not a thing.
No,
but she realizes that Homer is not picking up on it. So she tries to slow it down and get him to realize it. And even go so far as like she's like point at him and be like, "You, me, here tonight."
Yeah.
Like,
come on, please get it.
Yeah, like he's just not getting it. And Homer basically goes running out of the trailer. Like he's just like, he's shocked. Number one, he's shocked. Number two, he runs out of the trailer. We cut to Marge looking very worried, talking to her sisters, talking about all the money that's being spent and like, what happens if this all goes wrong? Like, what if Lurleen fails, basically? Like, we're going to lose our whole life savings. Like this has the potential to just be terrible. Sorry. So anyways, Homer is getting ready to go out to Homer comes home while Marge is on the phone. In his regular clothes, he goes and gets changed because there's a thing going on or whatever. And then Marge does the thing that everybody does in every TV show and every movie where the wife comes in, she's like, "Well, you were out doing this with work, or you were out doing this with this woman. You missed this event happening," like Maggie cutting her first tooth. And apparently they were in a pig judging contest. And anyway, Marge even goes so far to dress the kids up looking nice and brings them in the room and is like, "Don't forget when you go out tonight that you have this lovely family waiting for you." Like they're all in their Sunday best and everything like that. She's painting the perfect picture of what their family should be, just to make sure that is like really driven into Homer's head that like, don't leave your family. Like
Right. Just
she's
a
trying,
quick reminder.
and I feel like that's a trope they pull out in every movie and every sitcom, right?
Yeah. You
Like
gotta. The guilt
the
trip is real.
yeah. Um, so where is Homer going? He's going to see Lurleen be a guest star on the show Yahoo.
Which I watched Hee Haw when I was a
Yeehaw!
kid.
I
So
watched Hee Haw when I was a kid too.
yeah.
I'm right there with you. I watched Hee Haw as a kid too. It's all good. So, but this is Yahoo, which is clearly Yeehaw. I do love that their opening is like a donkey or something chugging some moonshine and its head explodes.
Yes, as it would be.
Of course, one of the people on there is yodeling Zeke, who we saw in the beer and brawl at the beginning of the episode. He was the yodeler. So we have yodeling Zeke.
He's making it too, huh?
Butterball Jackson, Freddie Boy and Yuma, Cloris Mosley, Big Shirtless Ron, Orville and Hurley, Gappy May, Hip Diddler, Rudy, and the Jug Band, the alcoholic. I love that. Rudy and the recovering alcoholics Jug Band.
Man.
And then tonight, making her syndicated TV debut, Lurleen. And she does a very dramatic kind of turn around and wave, and then we get another song. She's singing "Bag Me a Homer," right? And this is when Homer's approached by another person who's from Rebel Yell Records, who would like to buy Lurleen's contract, and Homer turns him down at first, saying, "What do you think I am? Some dumbass army guy? Like my name's not Colonel Homer."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, Homer goes backstage to see Lurleen after her appearance and talks about how the crowd loved her and everything went smoothly. And this is when Lurleen takes the chance to, like, not just shut the door, you hear it shut and lock very quickly, like she's trapping him inside the room.
Yeah,
and
it's like several locks.
Yeah. And this time she's not giving Homer a chance to misinterpret what happened. She's just going to run up to him and kiss him. But unfortunately for her, he doesn't look happy. He looks sad for some reason. And this is when we get a nice Homer flashback of his romantic life, because it's flashing before his eyes.
Yeah. It's like if you're gonna die, your life flashes before your eyes. If you're gonna cheat, your romantic life flashes before your eyes.
Before your eyes. So we see him playing spin the bottle with a girl who, when he goes to kiss her, says "gross" and smacks him. A woman saying "thanks for dinner" and then driving off. Like that was like a very unimpressed "thanks for dinner" too. Like he's looking for his goodnight kiss, and she's just like "thanks for dinner." Like she's out of there. Even rolls the window up like in his face, like it's a complete failure. And then he goes to a kissing booth where he's paid $1 for a kiss, as you do at kissing booths. The girl slaps him instead, and he's like, "Can I have my $1 back?" And then slaps him again. And then we cut to Marge saying, "I'll love you the rest of my life," and all the happiness that comes with that, right? Because that's where his heart is with his wife. And we go back to Lurleen kissing Homer, and like it does look like Homer's kissing back a little bit, but let's be honest, I'm pretty sure that's like a 90-10 or an 80-20 kiss going on. Like she's kissing him. And because as soon as we come back and we see the kiss happening, he looks instantly worried and upset. He's not happy. He backs away and basically just starts letting her down and tells her that, like, love was never what he wanted. He just wanted to share her talent with the world. And now he's done that. And since she feels this way, he's going to have to go before he loses his family, because this wasn't what his plan was. He just wanted to be nice. But like, I can see where Lurleen fell in love with Homer. He is so sweet to her the whole time. And if she's never had that, she just wants to hang on to it. She just doesn't want to let it go. It's not, it's not good, but she's fighting for someone that's not an asshole. And I guess when you grow up in Weevilville or Hicks Spittletown or whatever that place was, I guess genuine people don't come along very often. So she's sad anyway. But do you love it how Homer comes back just to double check? Like, if I had stayed, you would have gone all the way with me, right? And she's like, yep. And he's like, awesome, and leaves. Like
Right.
he just, for his own ego, just wanted to make sure. So he goes and finds the guy from Rebel Yell Records and says, like, I'm desperate to unload her. Basically I need to get rid of this contract. So before we start negotiations, let me tell you that. So now, like, he's Homer fashion ruined the negotiations, right? So I think the guy offers Homer $50. He says deal because he realizes that that's all he's gonna get.
Right. After he put his life savings down for the recording.
Yep. So we cut to Marge watching the show, and they're telling a joke about somebody's wife sleeping with their best friend, as they do on shows, right? And shows like this especially, right? The guy says, I caught my wife in bed with my best friend. And the other guy says, are you bitter or whatever? And he's like, yep, bit him too. Jokes. Anyway, I even think I've heard one very similar to that in my life. And so Marge is watching the show, and then Lurleen comes out again. And at the same time Lurleen's coming out, Homer's coming out and asking if there's any room in bed for a fool. And he, because he did, because maybe he didn't intend for it to happen, for her to fall in love with him, but she did, and he knew he had to leave. And that's the thing. Homer did leave. He didn't stay, right? Like, he was like, nope, I gotta go. Like, he's like, I'm not even gonna try to work this out in any way. I just gotta go, which was probably the right thing to do. And Marge is like, yep, of course you come. There's always room for you in this bed. And we go to see Lurleen's like last song, which is called Stand By Your Manager.
She basically is like, fuck it, I'll just go ahead and redeem Homer real quick here.
Yeah. So like, in the song, she says stuff like, I tried to kiss him, but he ran. And in the like last line of the song is, I hope Marge knows just how lucky she is. Like, it's kind of like it's a nice note to end it on for Homer, because it shows that he actually was a stand-up guy the whole time, and that it was, any wrongdoing was on her part, and that Marge should be happy. So I guess at the end of the day, their relationship was tested. Homer passed. He did the right thing, and Marge is happy because, let's remember though, at this point too, let's remember that it's not like Marge has by this, like, Marge had that, like, a little bit of like the same type of situation with that guy in that other episode. He was Jacques. Yeah. So this is one of the things with the Simpsons, right? We explore all facets of their life, especially when you've been on TV for as long as they have. Anyways, we end episode with Marge and Homer kissing in bed, and Homer I do like that it's a hat toss that brings us to the credit screen, and that's the end of the episode. All right. So, looking back on it, and like I told you before, oftentimes when we break down the episode together, sometimes during that time, the score in my head changes.
Did it today? I don't feel like I had much. This episode feels like there's not a lot. In a strange way, it's like Matt Groening was like, I'm just going to write a very straightforward episode. There's not, there's not a lot that needs to analyze. There's not a lot that felt unsolved.
No.
It's a good episode, but it's very like straightforward.
Yeah, I like you before watching it. Like obviously I remembered the songs, and I remembered a couple things about the episode, but like I had totally forgotten about the whole Googleplex thing. I had totally forgotten his whole reason for leaving town. I think I even kind of forgot a lot of the stuff that happened to the beer brawl. I forgot all of the trailer scene parts. They had totally left my memory.
Yeah.
But I think my behind the scenes love of the episode is how involved Beverly D'Angelo was in it, because I think that's really cool. And I think it's cool that she wrote and sung, because she sung. That's her singing in the episode. That's always her singing.
Fantastic.
So I think that's special. Like, I think it's special that she was super involved in the episode. And I find, like, after finding out that they drew Lurleen different than they had ever done Simpsons characters, I thought that was really like, to me that was like really interesting. And when I go back and I watch it now, it's like I just notice all these little. There's a whole bunch of little things that happen in this episode that necessarily don't make it good or bad, but to me it makes it interesting just as like a looking at something different on The Simpsons. Does that make?
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
so they're like season 3. We don't know how long this is gonna last. We better freshen it up a little.
Exactly. So how did it score for you, like overall?
Yeah, it's like I find this to be a very average episode. You know,
yeah, it is
2.8.
That's pretty generous. I mean,
yeah.
I find that I'm really hard. My scores often come in under yours. I was going 2.5. Like, so we're super, super close.
Yeah. I was going to say that's not so far off. I don't feel like and it's for those reasons. It's like, okay, Lurleen is I think she's in 4 total episodes throughout the entirety of The Simpsons, or maybe 3.
Well, they stick her in some backgrounds. Like sometimes when there's like a big event, they'll have her because as time goes on, things go bad for her and she becomes a big alcoholic or whatever. And they have her pour out of the, like, they'll be like, and there's Lurleen Lumpkin. Like they just throw her out there once in a while and she'll be like pouring out of a limo or something like that, like falling over and stuff.
True.
But they don't really, but they never have her talk or anything. That it's always just her like showing up on a celebrity carpet, Simpsons style, you know, like she's there, right? Like, part of the universe.
Yeah. And those might be the 3 that I'm thinking of. I think I saw her character credited in like 3 episodes, but maybe I was seeing Beverly D'Angelo voicing her in only 3 episodes. Maybe that could have been what I was seeing.
Think it only happens that only happens a very few, maybe once or twice or whatever. And like you do see Lurleen sometimes in like, you should check it. We should check that. But sometimes you see Lurleen in those big crowd shots, you know, like, you know, when they just show everyone that's ever been on the show. But usually she's silent and you just see she's just in the background. She doesn't usually talk. But yeah, I said 2.5. Like, you know, it's never been one of those episodes that overly stands out in my mind. I remember the Bag Me a Homer song. I think it's just because that talks about it sounds like a baseball song. I think it's the only reason why it ever stuck in my head, you know. Like doing this though, like going back and finding out these little things, like Beverly D'Angelo like being really involved with the production of this one and how they drew her different, that adds a different level of interest to the episode for me, but doesn't necessarily make it better. It just makes it more interesting on like a super nerd deep dive level. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
100% I do.
Yeah.
We only have 4 episodes left on this season.
In this season, well, and then we're doing like a wrap up episode.
Right. 4 Simpsons episodes, I should say.
4 Simpsons episodes left on the season. Yes. Who was our character bio for today? I'm going to assume it was Lurleen.
It was Lurleen Lumpkin. Let me read you everything we've got here. Yeah, this is our character bio from the Simpsons World Ultimate Simpsons Guide. Lurleen Lumpkin's occupation is cocktail waitress at the Beer and Brawl, an aspiring country singer. Her residence is the trailer at the Royal King Trailer Park. Friends and family include Mama, Daddy, the triplets, Vonda May, and Piney Joe. Her taste in men is slow-witted, bald family fellows. Her biggest talent is hiding love messages in the lyrics of her songs. Schooling didn't go. And her quote is, "Well, come on, boys, let's break some hearts."
Yeah, that's a good way to start, like, to get your band going for some songs, right? I like it. I like it. I dig it.
Okay, you want some trivia? I already have a trivia card out as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if I can continue my okay streak.
Who said, "Every time I learn something new, it pushes some old stuff out of my brain"?
That had to be Homer, right?
That was definitely Homer. Okay. The angel skeleton Springfield discovered was sent by who?
Oh, I know that episode and the mall, and it's all very grand. Oh, I actually don't know who it was sent by.
It's kind of trick because it's not like specific. And if I give you the multiple choice, it's so easy. Here's the multiple choice. Was it sent by the Pope, God, or an advertising company?
It's an advertising
company.
company.
Yeah. It's totally an advertisement for the new mall.
Oh, it was all big.
Yeah.
That's right. It was all a big, like, it was just all a big
they all
thing.
thought it was counting down to doomsday, but it was counting down to the grand opening of the mall.
Because this is when we start being the area where, in the era, advertising era, where you just see ads that were like, it's coming.
Right.
And that's it. That would be the whole ad. It's coming.
Wait, what is? Tell me.
What is it? I do like that the Simpsons do play on that idea a couple times, like with they do it there, and they do it with Gabbo, where it's like they just say Gabbo, Gabbo, Gabbo. It's like, what the fuck is Gabbo?
Those are like the toy commercials we had as kids.
Yes. But yeah, those are good questions. Like the thing was, as soon as you said the angel thing, I could picture the whole mall in my head. I saw it like instantly.
Good episode.
I was just like, for the life of me, I remember there's a trick to it. I was like, I remember there's a trick, but I just couldn't get the advertisement. I wanted to say like it had something to do with like somebody making money, and then I was like trying to go through like specific people. You know what I mean? Like I started going through specific people in my head.
Burns.
Yeah.
Kent Brockman.
Yeah. Right. What's that? What's the real estate chick? Connie, whatever, the real estate chick. Number one on the east side.
Right.
Number one on the east side.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Oh, do you have any final thoughts about the episode today?
Nothing about the episode. I think I said my piece. I'll just say check out our social medias. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. We're doing stuff there. We're at Cromulent Show on all of those things. Come watch us.
You'll find us.
Yeah, it's not even us a lot. We're getting to that. But if you want to just keep up, like basically I'm posting 8 to 10 Simpsons clips a week from the episodes that we're covering. So you want to just kind of stay up with them, this week. If you're following with us, you'll be hearing a bunch of Lurleen Lumpkin songs. So
yeah, you can get reacquainted with the episode. And there is a couple of us floating out there. You can like those. Don't be scared to like them. When you see our faces, don't be scared to be like, think there's one where we talk about the fact that Rainier Wolfcastle can't hit the broadside of a barn with his gun.
And the goggles do nothing.
Yes, so please share and like and support us that way. We really, really appreciate it.
We really do.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm just as a reminder, my name's Kristen, and I was going to say that guy over there, and I pointed to you, but they can't see you. That's Jesse. I think we're ready to say goodnight. Good night. Shh.